Next piece is going to be the forearm. So the forearms are again just like the shins and the thighs. The very front has a ridge. So this ridge, I'm going to go 7.5 down. I'm going to cut it out. 7.5 down, I'm going to cut it out. So you see a pronounced ridge right here. I'm going to go at the end and come in 7.5. So it'll total, when I'm done butted together, this will be 15 from top to bottom. If you measure it right now, and I've only done to the Anovos cut line, right now it's about 25. So if you're a slightly bigger guy, 25 might work for you, but since I'm smaller and my buddy I'm building it for smaller, we're going to 15. But you can always leave this 15, and right here you might not cut here and it'll keep it big. So I've already cut the return edge off here. I didn't go where the line is. I didn't do that. I just went ahead and cut the return edge. So it's perfectly fine for me to bring my wrist out on both sides. And I've left the return edge here just to where Anovos line is. So I'm going to go ahead and before I even start cutting these, putting these together, I'm going to go ahead and cut them now. So I'll leave about 5 millimeter, somewhere right in there, give or take. So I cut that side off. Do the same thing with this side. This side looks a little bit bigger than the other side. So I'm going to cut this one off. So I trim that down. If you look at this one, there's maybe a couple, maybe 3 millimeters. So he trimmed out a lot on this side, but he left this side with the return edge. So you can do that if you want. If it's harder to put on, you can trim off the return edge on the inside or the front. The back piece where it has all these, the little ridges, you want to leave as much return edge. 5 millimeters is fine. Leave that there. The inside, it tends to pinch when you put it on. It tends to pinch you right here. So the bigger your arm is, and you want to try to keep these as screen accurate, you probably end up taking some out. But right now, there's maybe 2, maybe 3 millimeters on there. So on this one, I have 5. Once I put these two together, and when I put it on, if this piece happens to dig in too much, then when I go out there to sand, I'll sand a little bit more off. I'll sand it off until it fits nicely. So this is the right, this is the left. So what they were doing is the ridge is always on the top. So since this is the left, the ridge is on the top. You can see the ridge. Most people, when you're posing for pictures or whatever, once you join 501st, you want them to see this ridge because it looks a lot better with the return edge than it does without the ridge, and then you put the little outer strip on. So this is the bottom. Most people won't see the bottom part of your arm when you're posing. They'll see just the top part. So it's one way on this armor and RS armor. All the other armors, most of the ones I've dealt with, other than NE, they have this ridge on both sides. So this one, I haven't really messed with TM, so I don't know if TM has the same, Troopermaster has the same, but NE, I can't remember what that one stands for, but NE, RS, and Anovos, they have it just on this one side, not on the both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and make 7.5. So this is just guesstimation because it's so close. It could be 7, it could 7.5, it could be 8. So I'm taking off very little. Once I put it on there, we can see. it's very little I'm taking off. More on the top than on the bottom. So I'm not going to worry about the bottom just yet. I'm going to do 7.5 on this one too. And then on this side. Okay, there's the lines. Go ahead and cut them. So it might not be the straightest, kind of gives a little bit of jaggedness, but once I sand it down, that'll be all gone. You won't see it anyways once I put the strip on too. But you do want to try to get it as close to a straight edge as you can. Once you butt them together, then it doesn't leave any gaps on the ends. So I can already see I went a little wavy there. So if I was to leave that, it would leave quite a bit of a gap. So when I'm done, I want it to be where this is as close together as possible. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but you want them as close as you can get it. Same thing with this edge. This edge, you want to try to get these butted together. You won't see these as much on the top, but you want to get them as close to butted together as you can. Okay, so now I'm going to tape these together real quick and measure it and see how much we need to cut off. I should have wrote it down. It would have been easier while I was building the other one if I would have wrote down exactly, but I'm not 100% sure if these forearms, the biceps, if any of the pieces are the same width. So they might just be one's bigger than the other. So as long as you have one completely done, then you can use that one to help you with the other one. But again, other armors that I built, ATA for instance, Affordable Trooper armor, has these ridges on both sides. So it's very easy to cut 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, cut them up, glue the inside strip, glue the outer strip, and be done. But since this one only has it on one side, kind of leaves you where you have to adjust these down. It's good for bigger people because you can keep it or you cannot keep it. But since me and Betsko are thinner, then I can cut to the line. Maybe you can leave your line 7.5, so when you put the strip, it hides the line, and that could fit for a bigger trooper. So we'll try it on. It's definitely got a little bit of bounce in there, a little bit of room. So I'm going to measure it real quick. The top is 14.25. Go ahead and make sure these are butted together. So this top one is pretty close to 14.25. Let's try the bottom one. The bottom one is right at 12. So 14.25 and 12. Check the top again. So this one's at 14. With the shim, could make it bigger. This one is at 12. So with the shim, it'll probably be 12.25. So go ahead and put this one on and see how much bounce there is. If you look at this one, quite a bit of bounce too. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to leave this the way it is, and then slap it together. I'm going to go ahead and put the other bicep next to it real quick and see how they line up against each other. If one's a lot bigger, smaller. That'll give you a good indication if you're right on. You do want a little bit of room in there. Obviously, if you get bigger, you can still wear it, but you also need some bending room. You don't want it so tight that you can't troop in it, that you can only use it for display. So, we put it next to each other. It looks pretty close to the other one, where the bicep is just a tiny bit bigger than the forearm. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there just like it is. I'm just going to trim it down. The bicep's just a little bit bigger. I'm going to sand all the edges down, both sides, inside here. And then I'll come back, glue in the inner strips, and then glue in the outer strips. And these will be done along with the forearm. One quick note, Anovos supplied all the strips. They're already cut down. So we have, real quick, I've already used half of them for the other side. So we have forearm, or bicep, I'm sorry, forearm. And the one way, and I have not done anything at all to these. These are exactly how they come. So the shorter ones, bicep, the 15th. The longer ones are forearms. And then we got a longer one. Well, they kind of gradually go down. So you got a really long one. You got a medium long one, and then you got a short long one. I can already tell you right now, this short, thicker one out of them two, out of these three, compared to the forearms, there's also a third longer one, but the third one out of this group is for the back of the thigh. And then you have the front of the thigh. So what you do is you can come up here. Remember, you're only going to the bottom where this line is right here. So when you line them up, make sure that's at the bottom and that goes to the top. So this one is fine for the thigh. You can also use this one for the thigh, but it's a little bit longer. Let me try the other side of the thigh just to make sure it's not longer, because it has a little bit of an indentation when it goes up. So this one is perfect for this one. So this shorter one, or the medium one out of the three, will work on the thigh, the front of the thigh. But you also have your shin. So the medium one could also work for the shin. So whatever you want. The longer one out of the three and the medium one can either go for the shin or for the thigh. But this shorter one cannot be used for the shin, and it cannot be used for the thigh. It has to be, or the front of the thigh. It has to be used in the rear of the thigh. And again, they're already measured out. Measure it real quick. I haven't even looked at them. So this is 20. So that's perfect for screen accurate. This is 15. So that's perfect for screen accurate. Now this one is for the rear of the shin. So it goes on one side, only glues on to one side. And it's going to glue onto this side because this is the left side. So the left side will come over on the right side. So this is supposed to be 25. And this one is 25. The reason why this one is thicker is because you're going to drill 3 holes. You could do it 2 ways. You can put some Velcro there. You can put some Velcro on the other side of this. That's not glued to the side right here. and that Velcro can hold it down. It's fine, you can use it that way. It's not screen accurate, but if you don't really care about screen accurate, or if you want something easier, Velcro is definitely easier. If you want the screen accurate method, then you'll glue these on the inside, and then the hooks will just hook in to the holes. And I made these long because if you buy the actual bra clips, they're a lot shorter, and then this turn, it's bent really close. These are, I bent them out just a little bit up. The other ones are bent down further. You have to bend them out. The metal for the bra clips is very tough to bend, and like I said, this tip is very small, so it's really hard to put in the hole. So I make these bigger ones. I drill a hole, make the hole a little bit bigger, put it in, and then it holds it. Once it's in there, this elastic holds these two together. I'll show that once I get to it. Now this thigh, or I'm sorry, shin, I've already cut everything out. I've already trimmed it down. Again, it has the ridges, just like the forearm, the front, and on the thigh, it already has this ridge. Now the back of it has one ridge, the other side is flat. So I went 10, 10, 10 millimeter on those three pieces. This one, I trimmed it down to fit him, to fit Vetsko. So this one's done. I'm going to glue it down the top to about here. I'm not going to glue there because he's shorter, so I might end up having to trim some of the bottom off. And then I can cut the whatever I glue on to here. Once I put it on, I cut it. And it's going to be able to lift up whatever I cut off. I can cut it with scissors here, cut it again, 45, and then glue it down permanently. So I'm not going to glue the front one on the bottom down or the rear one on the bottom down because I want to be able to adjust the bottom for his shortness.